That took way longer than I thought it was going. What a surprise. What's up, everyone? It's Mike with this old hot rod. The sedan's moving up in the world. So what I didn't want to bore you guys. I lifted the sedan up, got it on some jack stands on the front, and my rear axle holder roller thing. I wanted to get right into the sheet metal on the, for the patch panels. Everyone knows at this point this is the working man's hot rod. 1930-31 two-door sedan. It's titled as a 31. I have a title for this car. So for the people who are interested, reached out to me, interested in buying it or inquired about it, I do have a title for the car. I didn't know if I did or not, and I went and looked through a bunch of paperwork that I had, old hot rod stuff, and sure enough, I have a title for it. The 3031 two-door sedan. It's got a 283 with a 2-speed power glide, 3940 rear axle, a Ford Banjo rear axle. I have a Hot Rod Works open drive conversion kit that's going to be bolted onto the front of the front of the pinion gear. That will go with the car, so whoever buys the car will be able to put a modern style drive shaft on the car. The last bit of sheet metal work is going to be these patch panels, so we're going to work on those today. I just want to try to move through these next few videos. Going to be the patch panels. Once the patch panels are on, I'm going to lift the body off, and we're going to do the radius rods. I'm probably going to leave the car right here, the way it sits, up off the floor. By doing that, what I'll be able to do is get underneath the car. I can finish weld my wishbones, my wishbone mounts, the radius rod mount, the transmission cross member, underneath, inside the motor mounts. I'll be able to get all those things. I'll have access to them at this point now because the car it's 2 feet up in the air. We're going to get right into it. Like I said, we're going to do probably the passenger side because I'm sitting over here and the camera's already set up. So we'll do the passenger side patch panels, get everything cut at this point, get everything tacked in place. Now obviously everyone knows you buy an aftermarket patch panel, they're not going to fit like a factory Ford, sheet metal wood. They're not exact. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get all 3 pieces kind of together, sitting the right way so it at least looks presentable. I'm hoping I don't have to do a ton of cutting and stuff like that to make my patch panels fit better. So fingers crossed it'll be a quick process. It'll be nice to see all the metal, the full height, how it's supposed to be. Well, like I said, this is kind of be the last bit of sheet metal work, so I'm kind of really excited about that. Alright, so these are obviously my cowl patch panels. You get the little provision there on the front, right here on either side. That is for the cowl band, for the stainless steel cowl band. And these are for my doors. Let's get to dry fitting these. I'll move you guys up a little bit closer and we'll put them up against it. See how they look. For the sake of getting this car done, moving along so I can get the 34 down into the garage, I figured just buying patch panels just was the smartest thing to do. And I'm hoping that is the case. This panel's too short. So they broke this edge too short. Not much, but it's about an 1/8 inch too short. So, again, we all know that that's kind of the name of the game when it comes to these panels. It's going to get me close, and it's going to be better than what's here, but there'll be a little bit of tweaking involved. Alright, so this has a step on it. I was wondering, I hadn't opened them up yet. So this panel has a stepped flange. I don't know if you can see that. So you can see this stepped flange here. So the sheet metal on the side of the cowl will come down over this. Welded on the outside and probably seam sealed. It probably won't ever get seam sealed, but now I'm assuming that the doors are the same. It doesn't say left or right, so I'm gonna just assume that. Alright, that's a lot better. So there actually is a bit of crown on this door. I didn't think there was. So obviously it's not gonna fit around it. I'm happy with that. That's a nice panel. Alright, so I'm gonna get this metal here cleaned up. You grab the Eastwood SCT or my flap disc. I'll get some rough measurement of where I need to clean up. I'll get all this metal cleaned up on the car, and then we'll get to work on lining up these panels and getting them installed. I'll be right back. Now I'm just trying to take my time to make sure I get this right, you know. So it appears that these patch panels go right below this kind of a bead that comes down the side of the cowl, and it appears as though that is exactly where the patch panel would end, right at the base of that bead. So I'm going to take that as my starting point. I don't think the metal that I have is giving me a realistic reading measuring from the bottom up. So I'm just going to go from that line and then measure to the 5-inch mark on the front edge of the door, because that metal is good, and I think that's the easiest way for me to get the most accurate reading. And that's going to be my cut line. So you can see this is the bottom of the A-pillar right here. It's there. It's not perfect, but it's there. It's somewhat obsolete at this point because the body isn't sitting on this anymore. It's actually sitting on the new floor structure. So even though that's a little rough, it's not really hurting anything at this point. And this panel is going to go up beneath this one like so. All right. I like it. It's pretty good. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit better. I'll get this primer or whatever this material is on top of this sealer stuff or galvanizing whatever paint. Let me get that cleaned up real quick, and we'll get this thing tacked in place. Now obviously I'm just going to put a few tacks on it for now, and then we can work our way back and get all the panels lined up. That took way longer than I thought it was going to. What a surprise. Alright, so now we're going to get to work on doing the door. Let's get this piece scribed. We get the metal cleaned up, get this piece. You know what, this whole door isn't bad at all. It's just right down here on the bottom. Kind of stinks to have to cut all the way up, but I guess I don't really have. It doesn't make sense to not do that. Let's get this one measured out. Let's get it cleaned up first, I guess. Alright, well, I kind of seem to have opened a little bit of a can of worms here. You can see the bottom of the inner structure of the door is literally gone. It stayed attached to the door skin when I removed it, but you can see it was completely rotted. So to do things right, you know, again, I had said it in other videos, I'm not trying to cut corners on this car, but I'm trying to keep it budget friendly and time friendly. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of cut this back a little bit, just try to find a straight line, and then get some just regular 18 gauge sheet metal and recreate this. It's got a little bit of a sweep to it. Just gonna get this metal cleaned up really quick and then go get a piece of sheet metal, get it, just measure it, get it bent in the brake, and then get the radius to it, get it attached so I have something to attach the door skin to. Also, what I need to do on the back side of these doors, there's insulation. Henry, you know, from Ford, the manufacturing plant, they sprayed like a tar insulation on the back edge of these doors. It wreaks havoc when you're trying to do these door skins. So I need to get like a scraper or something, some type of like a chisel or a scraper, and I need to remove it the best I can and try to get it down to bare metal on the back side before I start to weld in my patch panel. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna just clean this up real quick and then set my patch panel in place and kind of see how things are fitting. And then, you know, hopefully we can move forward with that inner structure and then get this panel attached. And Bobby did one of these panels and Johnny did the other. The bead on the cowl panel is taller than the bead on the door panel, or the belt. So I just kind of notched this bottom of the door to raise it up a touch, so it'll match. At least the top will match. The bottom will be just a smidge off. I took the door, moved it over onto the table. What I need to do first is, I'm going to forget about the skin at the moment. I need to work on this inner structure. I need to get a flange made so I have something to attach the bottom portion of the door skin. So this is this lower flange here. I need to have something where I can fold that under and have some place to pinch it onto. At this point, with no structure underneath it, I don't have anything. So I'm going to get a piece of metal shaped and bent and welded in here, but first what I need to do is just kind of clean this up real quick. Probably just get this one side done this afternoon and then call it a day. I'm going to make this little panel here so we have something to attach the bottom of the door to. Okay, so 1 inch by 22 inches long. So I'll grab a piece of sheet metal, get that done, I'll be right back. So I'm working on this little filler piece here. I've been just kind of slowly picking away at it. Wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do it. See on the bottom of this door right here, we have the actual inside bottom of the door. This is where your little rubber pad will go underneath the edge of the door, the bottom edge of the door. This is so it helps it rides up on the rocker panel, and it helps keep the door in line from sagging. What I'm going to do is put a piece right there like that. There's rot underneath. Like, I'll just have to keep going and going, and I don't really want to do that. Actually, no, I'm going to see what I have for dies in my shrinker stretcher. If I have shrinker dies in there, I'll just bump it a couple of times and just get a little bit of a crown to this piece, a little bit of shape to it. I'll do some welds on the inside and a couple of welds underneath. This won't affect anything as far as interference, it shouldn't. I just need something to attach the door skin to. I don't want the door skin to be flopping around. This piece will go this way, so now it has a little bit of a crown to it. So now what I need to do is I just need to make sure this metal's all cleaned up underneath, and then I'm gonna get this welded in place. now we can fit this panel. Now I do need to cut it up a little bit further, the door itself, but at least now we have good metal to attach it to. Cool. Good. Alright. Get some scribe marks down. That lip is about a ½ an inch. I need to measure down a ½ an inch. Alright. I'm gonna move you guys because I don't want the sparks to hit the camera. Stay in there. Alright, at this point now I'm going to take the door, I'm going to go put it back on the car, and I'm going to make sure my patch panel lines up with the bottom edge of the cowl. I don't really have anything at this point to line up the back edge, so when it comes time to do the rear quarter panel, I'm just going to line that up to the door. Patch panel is fitting perfectly on the bottom of the door on that inner structure, so it should be exactly where it's supposed to be. But before I weld anything, I do want to get it set back on the car just to make sure my front edge is where it needs to be and it's lined up with the cowl. So let's go do that. Alright, so I'm working on this. This is all like the tar insulation stuff that they would spray on the inside of the panels, inside of the doors. You can see on that door especially. This one has the glass in the way. But this right here will interfere with your patch panel. Not only the fitment of your patch panel, but also your weld. So you need to remove all of this before you start the welding process and actually final fitting your patch panel. Unfortunately, it's not the easiest crap to get off. It just takes a while, so I'm gonna work on this for a little while. When I'm done with this, I'll fire up the camera and we'll get this patch panel put in place. And then that'll probably be it for me for the night, because I'm not gonna get into the rear quarter until I have a good amount of time to spend on it. I'm gonna get to work on this and shut the camera off. And then we'll come back when I'm buttoning up this patch panel and we'll wrap up this video. Well, I finally got all the metal behind the backside of the door cleaned up, so now I can get this panel set in place and tack welded. It's fitting nice now that that insulation is gone, the tar. These flanges folded over. Another day. I don't know. I kind of knew this was going to be a pain in the butt. I want to thank everybody for following along. Every week, like it's Wednesday, another video just came out today, and all good stuff. So thank you. Sound like a broken record, I know, but it means a lot. There's a lot of regular guys out there like me that are teaching themselves how to do this stuff, and I don't know, I guess I'm just the one that's stupid enough to do a YouTube channel to show people that, yeah, we can do this stuff. You don't have to be a professional car builder or someone that's seasoned or trained in order to do these. People have been building these cars since the 40s. Backyard mechanics, shade tree mechanics. So I basically consider myself that. Thank you everyone, I really appreciate it. Probably didn't learn a whole lot on this video, but sometimes I just gotta get through stuff, and like I said, it was a little frustrating. I have a lot of work to do on that rear quarter, and I'm gonna just replace that entire front portion of that quarter panel, and then tie in the patch panel into the bottom of it, and that will kind of finish off that side. And then I'm gonna jump over onto the other side. I'm only going to do a video on this side. There's no reason for me to do 2 videos basically showing the same thing. So I'm going to get through this video doing these patch panels. I'll get the other side done, and then after that's all set, I'll get everything finished welded and the body's coming off. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. So thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.